Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out at buildingfortunesradio.com. Along with our marketing partners, we're here to help our PM Marketing Network Lead customers build their businesses and make the world a better place. At Building Fortunes, we know how much your business means to you and the people important to you. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingles.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingles here. You're listening to us live on Building Fortunes Radio. It's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. For those people that might be unfamiliar with my voice, my name is Peter Mingles, and I started this radio station somewhat like 6 years ago. And specifically, we did this because we wanted to shine a spotlight and give a microphone to people that were doing the right things in home-based businesses. See, sometimes home-based businesses get a little bit of a negative connotation because maybe they've done wrong or some people don't do well with them. But there's a lot of really great things that happen with home-based businesses, and we wanted to make sure that our Building Fortunes radio listening audience could hear this. So I reached out to Ray Gebauer. I don't know, it's been several months at least by now, and I knew Ray from the early 2000s as a successful leader in the home-based business arena. And overall, I'm going to say a good guy. You know, when you meet a good man, you meet a good man. And our paths had changed a little bit. I was busy doing my thing. He started doing some other stuff on his own. And I met him again by coincidence. He showed up in my Facebook Messenger thing. I don't even know how, because I'm not like a real big Facebook fan. But I reached out to him and I said, you know, hey, Ray, we're doing the radio show. I'd love to be able to get your input. You are one of the good eggs, and of the many, of course, in this industry. And if someone were looking for a person to work with that was knowledgeable, that would have a, you know, want to have a nice impact and a great impact on their health and their knowledge and their family and their everything, you'd want to work with Ray Gebauer. So I said, let's start doing these radio shows. So we did. So if you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/Ray-Gebauer, you'll be able to hear the different radio shows that we've done as well. And Ray has been on a repeat of his triple letter formula. So we're going to talk about one of them today, but you want to catch the other ones that we've done as well because they're creative and they're good and they're effective. So make sure you check out buildingfortunesradio.com/Ray-Gebauer. And if you need the spelling, it's Gebauer. So Gebauer. There's only one Ray Gebauer, and that's this gentleman who is here live on our radio show. So Ray, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Peter. I'm excited to be here. Technically, there's more than one Ray Gebauer. My son has the same name.
I know. It's just better to say it that way. There's only one that I know of.
Yeah. Anyway, we're all here for the same reason. We believe that life can be better. I mean, life is good. Like they say, any day above ground is a good day. But you don't want to settle for a good or surviving or mediocrity when there's possibilities of having a bigger, better life. And for me, a better life, ABL, a better life, includes in its essence of it, being happier, being happy and healthy and, of course, caring and helping others and making a difference, feeling fulfilled and satisfied without too many regrets. But, you know, life is a challenge. And so I have a good story for you tonight. I'm going to share a personal story. I had to contemplate if I wanted to say this or not, but I'm going to go ahead. You know how you've heard the phrase, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right? You know, sort of a clever way of saying it. Perhaps even more profound, but along the same line, what I like even better is the phrase, what doesn't kill me can make me stronger. Now, I think there's a condition. You have to have faith, otherwise you're just going to go downhill. But what doesn't kill me can make you stronger. So, you know, it's one thing to understand these concepts and lofty ideas intellectually, but it's another thing when you get tested. I think sometimes of that verse in the Bible, things are going really well with Abraham and God. And God, it says in Genesis 22, that God decided to test Abraham. So a lot of life is a test. And sometimes a little test, and sometimes there are huge tests. And that's what happened to me. Back at the time when I met Peter, I was on the top of the mountain. I was doing really well, or semi-retired. I was writing books. I had a downline getting close to 1 million people, making up to $1 million a year. I was like a celebrity with that company, and had a beautiful house on Lake Sammamish in Bellevue, and a wonderful wife, and wonderful life. And then one day, let's do this, Peter. If I say knock, knock, what do you say?
Who's there?
IRS. And you say?
What are you talking about?
You say IRS who?
Right, yeah, right.
Well, so my answer is, well, this is awkward. It wasn't expected, and that's exactly what happened. I wasn't too shook out because I was really confident, ends up being overconfident, that I was totally fine and I'd done everything right. I was pretty much bulletproof. But as things progressed, I found out I wasn't quite as secure as I thought. And my attorney said, they got a really weak case. There's not going to be any problem. But nevertheless, I decided, let's work this out. I met with them for a couple hours twice trying to settle this. Say, well, maybe you don't like the way I did things. Maybe I made some mistakes. Tell me what you think I owe you, and let's work it out. Yeah, I don't want to fight you guys. But no, they wanted to fight. Well, they wanted to put me in prison, actually. And I said, no, you don't understand, Mr. Gebauer. We don't care about the money at this point. You're going to pay the price. What they really wanted was make an example of me, which, they ended up doing. And my story ended up being on the front page of the Wall Street Journal and Seattle Times and a couple other papers all over the internet. Because, I said, well, okay, well, fine, we'll go to trial. And I knew I would win because I knew I was right. What I didn't know was they don't play fair. It's almost impossible to win even when you're right because they don't play fair. So they convinced the jury that I was doing things wrong, and I knew it. And I really was not guilty. But it doesn't matter. The jury voted, and after 2 weeks, I got convicted. And my attorney had said, hey, even that worst case scenario, no big deal. You'll stay out and you'll win on appeal. But it didn't go down that way. Instead, as soon as they say that, there's 2 marshals standing right behind me. They knew what was coming before I did. As soon as they say that, I'm convicted, as opposed to tax evasion of the assessment of taxes, technically. They grabbed me, put handcuffs on me, won't let me say goodbye to my family, and then they dragged me out of the courtroom, put me in a prison cell. And, I'm thinking, well, man, I wasn't expecting this. Well, I thought we could work this out. I'd be out in a few days, and I thought, well, I'll be out in maybe 30 days, and anytime I'm in a prison that's somewhat dangerous. And 8 months later, I finally get back to the judge with sentencing after 8 months in prison, and then I thought they'd let me out. 8 months, that's long enough. And no, you need 3 years. So I got sentenced to 3 years, so another 2.5 years. And so the first 3 days, I was really, really depressed. When I got convicted and thrown in, it's like was not expected. This is really sour lemonade. This is. But then I realized, well, let's get my back on track. I got to practice what I preach. Be positive, be optimistic, and make this into a good experience. What doesn't kill me will make me stronger. So how many times I say that? Probably a couple thousand times. Just, telling myself the same thing. And part of what made it bearable, and when I got my sentence, I said, well, I'll just declare this to be my 3-year sabbatical. it'd be a positive learning experience, and just watch my back and be careful and pray a lot and think. And you all heard of that verse or that book, Think and Grow Rich, right? Well, they're talking really about financial riches. Well, I did a lot of Think and Grow Rich in prison. My thinking was about how to become rich more emotionally and in my heart, and how could I mature, become a better, stronger person. That's the kind of wealth that you really want anyway. But there was another circumstance entwined in all this that was actually very positive. In spite of the fact that my wife had left me over this, she was afraid she's going to prison too. But I did remarry right before I went to prison, not thinking that was going to happen. And that ended up being a wonderful experience. Our connection, even though we're separated and we got to see each other once in a while and visitation and phone calls every day, up to 10 minutes a day. And so I was in love. And I had a lot of time to think, what is love? I mean, the word is used so loosely, and people say the answer to everything is love. And I know in the Bible there's 3 words used for love: agape, and phileo, which is brotherly love, and eros is sexual love, and the storge, which is like belonging type love. But that didn't really give me the depth of understanding I wanted. Here I'm experiencing it. I wanted to understand it so maybe I could cultivate it more deeply. And so I started contemplating, what does this mean? From not just a biblical perspective, but from a philosophical perspective and logic and from my life experience. And in that situation, going through this stuff, I came up with, which I feel is the most important formula for ABL, a better life, for a happier life and a healthier life. The 3 C's. Actually, there's 4 C's. This is my triple C formula for a better life, but technically this one has a 4th one. So like 4 legs of a chair or 4 wheels on a car. So I guess that's sort of a long introduction, but I wanted to give you a context so you could sort of appreciate, how I came up with this. You guys had time to think. I did have to. They did have work assignments, so I did have to work, a couple hours a day. And the first 90 days, I was washing pots and pans and did other things, cleaning toilets, and they actually paid me, 12 cents an hour. Can you imagine that? Going from $1 million a year to 12 cents an hour. But I made it into a rich experience. And I didn't get killed or beat up or anything bad. And these are the 3, actually 4 C's that I came up with that I think is really, really useful. It's probably my most profound and useful practical insight I've ever had in my life. And I've been using this since 2008 when I first developed this, And so that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. So I call this the 4C diamond love. So the first C is probably the most obvious, because most people, when they think about love, they think of it in a very shallow, limited way of at best caring about somebody. But in general, it's just more about feeling happy. Like you say, well, I love pizza. I love my car. I love my house. I love travel. And that, to me, that's not really love. That's just using the word. It means you're really happy with that situation or happy with the ice cream or whatever it is. But the 4 pillars of love, the first one is caring. And it corresponds to the 4 C's of how you determine the value of a diamond. A diamond, in gemology, they have the 4 C's. You have the color of the diamond, you have the clarity of the diamond, you have the cut of the diamond, and then the carat, K-A-R-E-T, I think it is, or A-T, which means the weight of the diamond. And what I came up with in my model of this diamond love corresponds very nicely to those 4 C's. So the color of love, the first of the 4 C's, is caring, and that's sort of obvious. If you love somebody, you got to care about them. The second C corresponds to the second C in the way you evaluate the value of a diamond or emerald or ruby, any kind of gemstone, is the covered color clarity. Yeah, clarity. So how clear is it? Are there occlusions? Is it cloudy? So the more clear it is, the more valuable it is. So think of like if you're on a cell phone, you want to have a clear connection. And so clarity and in communication corresponds to connection. When you have like a heart-to-heart connection or soul-to-soul connection, you have that clarity and the connection. So for me, the second fundamental dynamic of real love is connecting to people. You got to care. You got to connect. And by the way, all of this is very applicable to business. It's applicable to every aspect of life. Your married life, your spiritual life, everything. So I'm going to go through these 3 or 4 actually, and then come back and elaborate on each of them a bit, particularly the last 3. So you have the caring, you have the connecting, and then the cut. So what corresponds to the cut of the diamond? The cut has to do with the angle at which the diamond is cut so as to maximize the brilliance. Because if you have the right cut of the diamond, even though you're cutting away some good part of the diamond, if you have the right angle, you have more light coming straight up, and so it has more of a brilliant effect. It makes the diamond more valuable, even though you had to cut away some of the diamonds. So the corresponding element in love is that corresponds to cut is you have to cut away some of the good to have the best. But the greatest enemy of the best is the good. So for me, that corresponds to the word commitment. When you commit, you cut away the other options. When you get married and commit to one person, you cut away the other options. So commitment is critical to mature love. It's not enough to be caring, not enough to have a good connection. That's important, but you have to have that commitment dynamic. Otherwise, it's not going to last. It's not going to work. You have to have commitment. The power is in the promise. The power is in the commitment. That's what creates sustainability and makes it solid and lasting. And the fourth C corresponds to the carat. That's the weight of the diamond. And so what corresponds to the weight of the diamond in my 4C diamond love model is creating value, which in a sense really is an umbrella concept for the other 3. Because ultimately, and that's really the ultimate purpose in life, in my opinion, philosophically and biblically, our point of being here in existence really is to create value for ourselves and for others. And the better we do that, especially with significant value, the happier we are, the healthier we are, and it's a win-win for everybody. But if you leave that out of the formula and you just focus on being a caring person and connecting well with people and even add in the commitment, but if there's no creating value, that's the action part of love. That's where the rubber hits the road. Okay, so you're caring, you're connecting, you're committing, that's all good, but now what are you going to do? What's the behavior? What's the action? Without that, all the other stuff isn't going to make that much difference. You have to have the action part, and commitment is supposed to lead to that. If it's a real commitment, it's going to lead to action. So creating value, that's the fourth dimension. So there you have the 4C. The caring, connecting, committing, and creating value. And one of the usefulness of this, the practical application, is it gives you a way to more objectively measure love. Whether it's your love or how someone's loving you, how much you're loving God or how you feel God's loving you, or with your spouse. So what I do, I say, well, let's measure each of those distinctions of love on a scale from 0 to 10. So let's say, it's with your spouse. Okay, so on the first seat, caring, on 0 to 10, where would you rate yourself? How much do you care about this person? Is it an 8, 9, 10? Is it 4 or 5? And what is the number of how you experience the other person toward you? Hopefully it's up there in the upper numbers, 8, 9, 10, right? But what if it's the 1 or 2? So the caring is, you can rate that. And then you add all these up too, by the way. So then how about the connecting? You can rate yourself, score yourself 0 to 10. How strong is my connection with my spouse or with God or, with my business? Whatever it is, on 0 to 10, you can rate that distinction, that element of love. Is it a 7 or 8 or 9 or 10? The same thing with commitment. That's a big one that's often missing. People will say, well, we'll see how this works out. We'll give it a try. Whatever happens, happens. That's not going to take you too far. You've got to have commitment. Well, how strong is the commitment? Well, let's score it. Is your commitment, is it, say, an 8? Okay, well, that's good. That's better than a 6 or 7. What would it take to get it to 10? So if someone's going to join you in your business, what kind of commitment do you want them to have? If it's a 5 or 6, well, what's missing? What would it take to get it up to close to 10? Because that's what you want. You want people to be 10s in all 4 of these, really, including yourself. And maybe that's what's missing for you. In some area of your life, whether it's in a relationship or to your business. You say you love your business, you love your company, you love your products, but what's your commitment? You can somewhat measure that by your activity, which is the 4th C, the creating value. But your commitment is really more of a mental function. What is my commitment? And when you can measure that, 0 to 10, that gives you something to work with. What does it take to get it up to 10? Then, of course, creating value, in some ways, that's the most important one of all. Even before we get to that one, the caring, connecting, committing, all creates value just on their own merits. But you have to be in action. Otherwise, it's just like a fantasy or a dream. I mean, imagine, I tell people sometimes, what would it be like if God was just sitting up in heaven and says, oh, I care about those people so much, and I really feel connected to them, and I'm really committed to them, but he never did anything. Oh, what good would that be? But what we see in the very beginning says, in the beginning, God created. And he's always creating. He's creating value. He said, let there be light. And we're in his image. We're all in his image. And we are to be creators. Creating what? Not creating destruction or chaos. We're supposed to be creating value. So that's the whole purpose of a home-based business, is to create value for others foremost, and then as a natural, inevitable effect, you create value for yourself on multiple levels, not just financial value, but you create the value, the emotional value of feeling significant, that you're doing something to help others and you're making a difference, and it reaffirms your inherent value and worth when you are engaged in creating value for others. So honestly, on a scale from 0 to 10, how are you doing in creating value? Now, you might have high aspirations. Your aspirations might be 10. You have high intentions. But how much value are you actually creating? Is it a 10? Now, if you are creating a 10, then it's inevitable you're going to get up to making $100,000 a year or $1 million a year. The guy who's making $1 million a year, he's creating a lot of value. Now, it took time to get there. If you're making $100 or $200 a month, you're creating some value. But hey, there's room to grow, right? And so it isn't enough just to have a vision and a big dream. What are you doing on a daily basis to create value? How many people are you talking to? How many people are you sharing with? With how many people are you engaged with, number one, caring and connecting, not just rushing into some presentation or sales pitch, but, caring and connecting, and then you're committed to what's best for them, not how much money you're going to make. You're committed to their health or whatever value they can get from your service or product. And then what are you doing on a consistent basis to actually create value? Putting all that into practice. So, of all my formulas, I have the triple A formula, the triple E formula so far, triple, what else did I cover? Triple, I think R's last week, triple I's. I have a few more coming. But honestly, I think, and they're all valuable and they all have special distinctions, but in my opinion, the most important formula in life are these three, actually 4 C's: the caring, connecting, committing, and creating value. And that's also congruent and consistent with what the great teacher said when he asked, well, what is the greatest commandment? There's 613 commandments in the Bible. We've heard about the top 10, but, there's 613 actually. And so of the 600 some commandments, what's the most important one, the greatest one? And most people know is to love God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, which, by the way, the heart, soul, strength, and mind also nicely compared to these 4 C's, loving from your heart. That's the caring, loving from your soul. That's the connecting, loving from your mind. That's committing, loving with all your strength. That's the creating value. So that's the greatest commandment, and that's where we get the most value from life, when we love God. And the second was love your neighbor as yourself. So love is the most fundamental dynamic in life, in reality, in my opinion. But if you don't have a comprehensive grasp of what it means, it's just, in our culture, it's been sort of redefined as just being happy about something. Well, like I said at the beginning, I love pizza, or I love baseball, or I love football. That's not really love. I mean, you might be committed to that game or committed to enjoying the pizza, but that's not, for real mature love, that has to be with another person, where you're caring about their well-being and you're connecting to them heart to heart or soul to soul and committed to what's best for them. And, of course, creating value. When you love pizza, you're not creating value for the pizza. If you love football, you're not creating value for football. You're creating some entertainment value for yourself, but you don't really love football or pizza in a more mature way. So I really love this model. I'm not saying it's the absolute truth. I'm not saying this is the absolute definition of love. This is something I just came up with, which I think is really useful. And it's a really good model of how to evaluate yourself, and see how you're doing, see where there's room for improvement, and make sure you're not missing any of those 4 elements. They say, it's mostly marketing, but, they say the diamond is the woman's best friend, or something like that, right? And so that corresponds to what I'm talking about, the diamond love, the 4 C's. That's what every woman wants, right? Caring, connecting, committing, creating value. That's diamond love. And for the guys, maybe you resonate more with the diamond that's in baseball, the baseball diamond. So to score in baseball, how many bases do you have to get around? It's good if you get on first base, but how many points did you get for that? It's even better if you get second base, but how many points do you get for that? Third base, it's even better, but how many points? None yet. You got to have all 4 bases. So for diamond love in the baseball diamond metaphor or model, you got to have all 4 bases. That's the 4 C's: the caring, connecting, committing, and creating value. So if you want to think and grow rich in the broadest sense, if you want to be wealthy in the broadest sense, not just financially, that's the least important type of wealth, really, if you think about it. If you want to be rich in terms of your heart and your life and fulfillment and satisfaction and your health and your relationships, I'm saying, I'm asserting, I'm claiming that this is the path of life. This is the way. This is God's way. This is the way that actually works, whether you believe in God or not. This is what works best in life, is to live a life of love consisting of those four dynamics, the four C's of diamond love. I know I'm repeating myself because I want to really drill this in, the caring, the connecting, the committing, and creating value. And if you miss any one of those, or if you're only at, 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever on one of those, you're deficient. It's like having one tire that's flat or really low, or having better examples. If you have a table, for a table to be stable, you got to have 4 legs. Well, I guess you could have 3, but small. Let's say 4 legs, and they really need to be all full length. If you have one leg that's only half as much, you sawed off half of it, you don't have a stable table. It's not real secure. So if you want to have more security in life and feel more significant and have a better life and to make more money and to live longer and be happier and less stress, I'm telling you, this is something that you can't ignore. This is something that I think you need to embrace and think about and try to integrate this into your life. The 4 C's of diamond love. I mean, everybody already pretty much agrees the most important thing in life is love. But the concept of love is so diluted and watered down, it doesn't really mean that much. And so I hope that I brought to the conversation what this actually can mean that's practical, and you can wrap your mind around these distinctions of love, not just love in general, but love being a person who cares and a person who connects to someone else, more deeply and commits to their well-being. And you're committed to your business. You're committed to whatever it is, your project, and you're creating value. And these 4 work together synergistically to maximize your life, to have a ABLE, a better life epic. An epic is a narrative or story in which the journey, or which the hero makes a major difference, does things heroic in his journey of challenges. Like I started with my story. I was blessed and grateful and doing well. Then all of a sudden everything crashed and everything fell apart. And my journey took a huge downward turn. But, I kept my faith that I believe what doesn't kill me will make me stronger. And in that dark place, that context, I saw the light of what I think love really means, not just love in a relationship, a romantic relationship, but in how it applies to all of life as a formula for a better life epic. So we already are in our own story. Well, if you want your story to go better and to end well with less regrets and probably even more wealth and just feeling better about yourself and the difference you're making in people you're helping, apply these 4 C's to your business and to your marriage and to everything you do. I mean, how do you think your business would go if you and your people on your team started really caring about people and connecting to people more deeply rather than rushing into some presentation, and we're really committed to what's best for everybody, and we're doing the whole thing, the whole business is about creating value? You think that would make a difference for you and your team? I say it would. It could take you to the next level and maybe to the next level and the next rank while you are being a person of love. And I would say that's who we really are in our true self, our true nature. By design, we all are meant to be and really are people of love, but stuff gets in the way and fear takes over, or anger, or bitterness, and it poisons us, not permanently, but you can get rid of that stuff that's getting in the way and begin to more unfold and manifest the light that you are, the love that you are. And the more you do that, the bigger the win, the W-I-N, the bigger win, the win-win is for everybody, including you and God and every person on the planet. Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. And the way you really win a life is living a life of love, of caring, connecting, committing, and creating value. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, and I'm happy I could share this with you. And I hope you really take time to contemplate this and think about, well, how can I use this and to enrich my life and enrich the lives of others, to make a bigger difference, to make a better life, a happier life for you and your family and everybody else. So if you'd like to connect with me and perhaps look at the possibility of working with me, please call or text me, and we can have a conversation and see if we might be a match. I'm not selling any coaching programs, but I am interested in mentoring and helping people. So, and looking for other people to work with me in my business that I'm rebuilding now, and real happy with that, and a great company and extraordinary product, unbelievable. But anyway, so my phone number, if you're interested, is 714-488-9074. So 714-488-9074. And yes, I'm busy, but if you call me, I promise that I will talk with you. And if I miss your call or I see your text, I promise I will call you back. That's my commitment. Because that's part of who I am and who you really are. I'm a 4C person, 4C diamond man. I'm caring. I want to connect. I'm committed to help as many people as I can and to create value. And so you could maybe end up being part of my story in my journey of making a bigger difference in the world, just like Peter is and you are already, most likely. But if we could do it bigger and faster and make a bigger difference for more people, all the better. It's a bigger win-win. So I guess I went overtime, Peter, but anyway, thanks again for having me on.
Always worth it, always worth it. So if you are listening in and you want to get in touch with Ray, make sure you dial the number. I'll give it to you one more time, 714-488-9074. That's 714-488-9074. And you can call Ray Gebauer, and you can hear all the other radio shows. And probably the most important thing, I think, is if people work with you, regardless of where they are now, their mindset would change as well. So when you get the mindset to change, you can handle all the good and the adversities that happen sometimes in your life. And to me, that's even more important than the money. So building a successful business, great.
Yeah.
Having fantastic product lines, but also working on your mind and the mindset to help yourself and other people around you, I think is like as important as everything else, so maybe even more. So, Ray, I really appreciate you being here. And even though we talk about the triple C's, we threw in an extra bonus one, and it made sense in this instance. So we'll be back next week. Thanks, everybody, for listening in. You heard from Ray Gebauer. Thanks, Ray.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingles. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.